Good afternoon. Welcome back to Dooley Health and Care Field, where we're just moments away from first pitch in Game 2 of a doubleheader between the University of St. Francis and Indiana University South Bend. The Saints took the opener, a nail-biter. 4-3 was the final score. South Bend had the tying run at second base when they ended the seventh inning. St. Francis was able to escape with the one-run victory. So they'll go for a doubleheader sweep here in Game 2. I'm Terry Bonadonna. I'll be on the call for this one as well as we take a look at the starting lineups for Game 2. First for IUSB, two very different lineups in this game, or two very different strategies, I should say, for the managers. St. Francis has gone with an almost entirely different lineup. South Bend has gone with 8 out of 9 exactly the same. The one change is in the leadoff spot. Catcher Drew Barber hits first. He'll be followed by third baseman Logan Smith. Caleb Farnham hits third as the DH. Brendan Bell bats cleanup. Bell plays second base. Hitting fifth, shortstop Brett Sikorsky. Cole Miller bats sixth in right field. Hunter Bedell is the shortstop, or rather the first baseman. Batting eighth is Josiah Nelson in left field. And hitting ninth, center fielder Donnie Neckes. First pitch of the ballgame is roped out to left field. Jake Vera makes a running catch and a nice slide at the end to put away Drew Barber. One pitch, one out in the top of the first. We are off and running. That pitch was thrown by St. Francis's starter, making his third start of the year, Ethan Fleming. It's his 10th overall appearance. He's 0-2 with an even 9 ERA. In 13 innings, he's allowed 19 runs, 13 of them earned on 21 hits, 8 strikeouts, 7 walks. Logan Smith stands in and takes ball one. We'll get you the rest of the starters for St. Francis in just a few moments. It'll be Cage Hake starting on the mound for IUSB when we get there. Hopper to third base, picked up after a slight bobble by Hector Carrillo. He throws over to first, 2 down. 2 quick outs here in the top of the first inning as Barber hits it hard but lines out to left. And Logan Smith hits it relatively hard as well, but right at the third baseman, Hector Carrillo on the ground. Carrillo able to make the play. 2 up, 2 down. Here's Caleb Farnham. Farnham, the number 3 hitter, is the DH. He went 0 for 2 and was also hit by a pitch in one at bat in Game 1. He takes the first pitch strike from Ethan Fleming. Fleming is just a freshman. Local guy from Plainfield as he misses high 1-1. St. Francis used 4 pitchers in the opener today, so they'd love a deep performance from Fleming here in Game 2. Ball downstairs, 2-1. Only 2 St. Francis players behind Fleming are in the same position as they were in Game 1. Very different lineup from Brian Mahalik here in Game 2. There's a hard hit one hopper over to first, played by Nate Maliska. He steps on the bag and ends the inning. I'll give you the St. Francis starters when we come back. A 1-2-3 first worked by Fleming. No score after half an inning of play. Bottom of the first inning, here are the starters for the Fighting Saints. It's Alex Martinez leading off and playing second base. Batting second, first baseman Nate Maliska. Eric Maffey hits in the 3 spot. Maffey's in center field. Batting cleanup, shortstop Brian Hidalgo. Jake Lasota bats 5th and does the catching. Gio Pappas is out in right field. Hector Carrillo hits 7th at third base. The designated hitter and number 8 batter is Dan Gusel. And hitting 9th, left fielder Jake Vera. Vera is the only player in St. Francis's lineup who is playing the same position and in the same spot of the batting order as they were in Game 1. Very few players are in both lineups. This is one of the guys who is. Alex Martinez, the second baseman, leads things off. He played third base and batted second in Game 1. He takes the ball outside, and we're underway in the bottom of the first inning. 1-0 on Martinez. Facing Cage Hake, the senior, who fires outside 2-0. Hake, a local product from South Bend, attended John Adams High School. 0-2 with an 18.69 ERA this season. It's his 4th start and 5th appearance this year. The 2-0. Over for a strike. It's 2-1. Hake this season has gone 4 1/3 innings. He's allowed 14 runs, 9 of them earned on 10 hits. 7 walks, 4 strikeouts. Behind Martinez in the count right now, 2 balls and 1 strike. Popped foul and out of play, 2-2. Very much like the starter in Game 1 for Indiana South Bend, Cage Hake doesn't typically go very deep into ball games. In the case of Cage Hake, though, it's a little bit more because of a lack of effectiveness than it was for Taylor Clifton, who started Game 1 today. Clifton hasn't pitched terribly this year as Martinez takes high 3-2. His ERA is around 6, so it's not what he'd like it to be. But he just doesn't typically go deep into ball games, as we saw earlier today, even when he's pitching well. He had 2 shutout innings under his belt, but they pulled him before the 3rd. There's a ball high. A close call on 3-2, but Martinez takes his base. It's a leadoff walk. And for Cage Hake, the reason he hasn't gone deep into ball games is primarily because he allows an average of 3 runs per inning pitched. So it's been a tough senior season so far for Hake. Leadoff man is aboard. Here's Nate Maliska. Maliska, the left-handed hitting first baseman, a freshman for Brian Mahalick's squad, gets his first at-bat of the day. And the first pitch to him inside nearly hit him. It's 1-0. Nate Maliska hitting .286 this season. 1 extra base hit, 5 RBIs. He's got a .354 on-base percentage. He has spent some time this year as the leadoff batter. He bounces this one through the hole on the right side of the infield. A base hit for Maliska. Martinez stops at second base. 2 on with nobody out. St. Francis, for the 2nd consecutive game, looks to strike first. Took him a little while last time around. Game 1 this afternoon, we saw 5 straight zeros up on the scoreboard before anyone could cross the plate. It was the bottom of the 3rd inning when St. Francis finally broke the scoreless tie. In fact, it was 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd inning. But that's when they put up 3 consecutive runs and they never trailed. Big part of that 3-run rally was Eric Maffey, who steps in for his first at-bat of Game 2. Maffey takes the first pitch high and tight. Earlier this afternoon, he hit his 11th home run of the season. Maffey went 1 for 3 in the opening game today. A couple of flyouts to go along with his 2-run homer. Turned out to be the big difference in the game. He flies this one into right field. It's playable. Cole Miller shields his eyes from the sun, takes a step back, and makes the catch. Maliska stays put at first, but Martinez advances to third base. So Maffey does advance 1 base runner. They're at the corners with 1 away, and still a good scoring opportunity here for the Fighting Saints. I'll bring up Brian Hidalgo. Hidalgo went 0 for 3, hitting out of the 5 hole in Game 1. Here he's the cleanup batter, and getting his first chance against Cage Hake, who got off to a rocky start, but retired Eric Maffey, the most difficult out in the lineup. First pitch to Hidalgo, over for strike one. Eric Maffey's hitting close to 350 on the season, with both Luke Ketchum and John McGuire out of the lineup here in game two. Nobody else is even all that close to a 300 batting average. So Maffey is far and away the top batter in today's lineup. Ball high, 1-1. Which puts a little bit more pressure on Cage Hake when Maffey's in the box. And I guess you could say it puts more pressure on Maffey as well. But it certainly gives the pitcher a feeling of accomplishment. Certainly a little bit of relief as well. So he gets through the number 3 hitter, and now Hake's got to feel like he's got a fighting chance to get through this inning with a 0 on the board. A double play would get him out of it. 1-1 count on Hidalgo. Liner to the shortstop. A nice leaping grab made by Sikorsky. 2 down. And the runners have to stay put. Hidalgo lined it just about a step to the left for Sikorsky. And the shortstop didn't have to leap too high, left his feet by a couple of inches and pulled that ball in just over his head for the second out of the inning. It's all up to Jake Lasota now. It's been an up and down season for Lasota. His average down to 197 entering play today. 9 runs batted in. Trying to add to that total with 2 outs in the first inning. Tapped foul, strike 1. 2-out scoring was the name of the game earlier this afternoon. All 4 of St. Francis's runs were scored with 2 outs. We'll see if they can muster another rally here late in an inning. 0-1 on Lasota. Runner on the move from first. The pitch is low and away for a ball. And Meliska steals second standing up. 1-1 on Jake Lasota. Good pitch to run on for Meliska, and that means a base hit here from Lasota would almost certainly score 2 runs rather than just the 1. So the at-bat has gotten even more pressure-packed. Lasota flies it out to right field. Miller has to chase it back. He's at the warning track, but he has room to pull it in, and the inning comes to a close. First 2 batters of the inning reach for St. Francis, but they're both left on base. Fighting Saints don't score. We'll go to the second, 0-0. Top 2, Ethan Fleming right into the windup, and his first pitch to Brendan Bell is over for strike 1. Fleming was impressive in the first inning. He gave up 3 hard-hit balls, but all of them were played for outs, a line out and then a couple of grounders. There's a swing and a miss from Bell, 0-2. Brendan Bell entered play today as a .267 hitter. Had a productive opening game, 1 for 2 with a walk, a triple, and a run scored. This time, though, he starts with a strikeout. 3-pitch out recorded by Fleming, who's got his first K of the afternoon. 4 up, 4 down against the freshman. And that'll bring up Brett Sikorsky. Sikorsky made a good defensive play in the last half inning to prevent at least 1 run scoring for St. Francis. Jumping grab on a line drive from the shortstop's position. Now his first chance at bat opens with a foul ball, strike 1. Sikorsky singled. He went 1 for 3 in game 1. Left-handed hitting shortstop, swings and lines it up the middle, a base hit. Nearly took Fleming's head off. The pitcher had to duck out of the way. He reached his glove up, but couldn't get it there in enough time. So a runner at first now. 1 away. And the batter is Cole Miller. First base runner of the game for Indiana South Bend comes with 1 out in the top of the second inning. 1-0 on Miller. This is a 9-inning game. The opener went just 7. And St. Francis was probably glad that it did. Line drive into left field. Back-to-back hits for South Bend. Miller stops at first base. Sikorsky advances to second. 2 on with only 1 out. I should amend my statement to say St. Francis was definitely glad that it ended after 7 because they had the lead. They would have liked it just fine if it ended after 3, 4, 5, or 6 as well because they had the lead at every one of those innings. Hunter Bedell is the batter. But my point was specifically that South Bend was starting to chip away. Strike 1 called on Hunter Bedell. It was Bedell's RBI single that really tightened things up in the 7th inning. St. Francis had led 4-1, but the lead was down to 4-3 by the time it ended. Ball low and away, 1-1. That's not to say that if they had played another 2 innings that South Bend's momentum would definitely have carried them over the top, but anytime a team is chipping away like that, just as soon get out. End it, not play any further innings if you don't have to. And they didn't in game 1. They would here in game 2. Bedell takes the ball outside, 2-1. The bullpen plays a little bit more of a factor in a 9-inning game than it does a 7, and both of these teams have bullpens that have struggled at times. Strike over the outside corner, 2-2. Both teams' overall ERA is over 6. Game 1 turned into something of a pitcher's duel. 4-3 final. Ball low and away, full count. Game 2 has started with no runs on the board yet, but both teams threatening. St. Francis had 2 on with no outs in the first, didn't score. Now the Titans have 2 on with 1 out. We'll see if they can come through. But Al grounds it to short. Flipped over to second for 1. Martinez's relay throw is in time, 6-4-3. And the answer is no, they cannot come through. The inning comes to a close. 2 hits, no runs, and 1 left on. We go to the bottom of the second. 0-0. Bottom two, no score. Gio Pappas leads things off for St. Francis. 6, 7, and 8 in the batting order here to face Cage Hake for the first time. Hake pitched out of trouble in the first inning. See if he can get through the second with perhaps no trouble at all. Pappas takes ball one inside, and that was the start of the trouble in the first inning for Hake. Didn't get ahead of a lot of hitters, certainly not early in the inning. Fell behind the first three batters. Two of them reached base, one of them on a walk. And then he started to find the strike zone. Ball outside, 2-0. And once that happened, once he found the strike zone, he was able to get out of the inning. Retired the last three batters. A couple of flyouts and a lineout. And prevented the Fighting Saints from scoring. They left runners at second and third. Pappas swings and fouls it off to the right side. That's out of play. And the count is 2-1. Gio Pappas is getting his first at bat of the day. Not his first appearance. He did come on as a pinch runner in game one. He was caught stealing. But this is his first time at the plate in the doubleheader. He's hitting .270 this year with a home run and 8 RBIs. This is his 10th start of the season, 19th game played. He takes a strike over the inside corner, and that evens the count 2-2. Gio Pappas is a senior who transferred in from Morton College, originally from right around this area. Playing his second year in the St. Francis program and awaiting the 2-2 pitch. Ball high, it's full. Second full count today against Cage Hake, who walked one in the first inning. Trying to avoid walking the leadoff batter for the second straight frame. Here's the set and the 3-2. It hit him. Or did it get the bat? It got the bat, so it's a foul ball, and he stays in the box. That's got to be frustrating for Pappas because that pitch was nowhere near the zone. He didn't intend to swing, but it resulted in him staying in the box anyway. If he could have just backed out of the way a little bit further, would have been ball four. If it had hit him, it of course would have been the same result, but it apparently got the knob of the bat. Fouled away here. And that officially is the second two-strike foul ball. So Pappas will see an eighth pitch from Hake. There is action already down in the bullpen along the left field side. That's Indiana South Bend's bullpen. Hake, on average, only pitches about an inning per start. And he's 1 out away from surpassing that. Swing and a miss. He's gotten that out, and he's got his first strikeout of the game. An 8-pitch battle between Hake and Pappas, and it goes the pitcher's way. One down in the second. Brings up Hector Carrillo. Jackson Kruger is warming up in the bullpen for South Bend. Looks like there's a left-hander throwing as well. Hector Carrillo bats for the first time today. Was not in the lineup in game one. And he chases one downstairs for the first pitch strike. Hector Carrillo's a .228 hitter this season. 3 extra base hits, 11 runs batted in, .344 on base percentage. He takes low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. Hake entering play today had almost 2 walks per inning pitched. He hasn't consistently been around the zone so far today, but he's gotten away with it so far. The 1-1 to Carrillo. Up and away, ball 2. Hector Carrillo does have a good eye at the plate. 8 walks taken in 79 at-bats this year. 6 times hit by a pitch as well. Went fishing on the first pitch here, but has taken 2 in a row since then, and now a swing on 2-1, and he hits a 1-hopper over to second base. Brendan Bell fires to first, 2 down. That's 5 straight retired by Hake. And it brings the designated hitter Dan Gusel to the plate. Goosel, the junior catcher, went 2 for 3 in game 1, a couple of singles. 244 hitter entering play today. He's DHing in the second game. He started behind the plate earlier this afternoon. He takes strike 1. Hake trying to make it 6 in a row retired. Looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Ground ball to the third baseman. Gloved cleanly by Logan Smith, and the throw to first is a strike to end the inning. 6 in a row set down by the senior right-hander for Indiana South Bend. We've played 2, no score. Two innings down, 7 to go, no score. Ethan Fleming back to the mound to face Josiah Nelson, and the first pitch is swung on and missed. Nelson had a big hit to lead off an inning in game 1. He doubled the first pitch he saw when he batted in the top of the 5th inning. Went 1 for 2 in that game with a sacrifice bunt as he fouls this away. 0-2. That hit for Nelson was his 4th of the season. He's now 4 for 22 on the year, but behind in the count 0-2. He takes a fastball that just misses. 1-2. Both Ethan Fleming, who started this game for St. Francis, and Cage Hake, who did the same for Indiana South Bend, came in struggling. Ball 2 to even the count. Both very lofty ERAs. One a freshman, trying to figure it out, and one a senior, trying to get back on track. But both guys have been great today. Ball inside, 3-2, albeit through 2 innings. You're not going to ever judge a starting pitcher's day after just 2 innings worked, but I think both managers have to be very happy with their start pitching-wise. There's a grounder to short, fielded cleanly by Brian Hidalgo, who throws over to first for the out. 1 away in the second. Fleming has retired the leadoff batter in every inning. 2 hits so far in the game for Indiana South Bend. They were back-to-back singles in the second that did not ultimately result in any runs scoring. Here's Donnie Neckes. The center fielder flew out 3 times in game 1, 0 for 3 total. He takes the first pitch strike. That paints the inside corner, 0-2. Fleming has gotten ahead of the first 2 hitters here this inning. And now Neckes flies it into left field. Vera comes in a few steps, makes the catch, 2 outs. So he's got a chance for his second 1-2-3 inning of the game as he goes up against Drew Barber for the second time. No score in the top of the 3rd. Barber is 0 for 1. He lined out to left field on the very first pitch of the game. Barber, the right-handed hitting catcher, takes the first pitch this time. It's strike one. 7 strikes, only 3 balls so far this inning for the freshman Fleming. That just misses the inside corner, and the count is even, 1-1. Hasn't walked anybody yet. He has 1 strikeout. Barber stepped out of the box. Couldn't tell. He might have had something in his eye or something like that. Doug Bice came out for a second, but was quickly sent back to the dugout. So we're ready to go. 1-1 misses away. 2 balls and a strike. If Barber reaches here, Logan Smith will bat. Smith has had a few good swings in this game, or this doubleheader, I should say. So Fleming would like to avoid him in the third as he misses for ball 3. 3 straight misses. And now Barber is in the driver's seat in this at-bat. No score. Indiana South Bend has out-hit St. Francis 2-1. 3-1 pitch. High fly ball, left side foul, and looks like it'll get out of play. It does exactly that. Full count. Third full count to the ball game against Fleming. Hitters are 0-2. Once going to 3-2 against him. We'll see if Fleming can keep that trend going. Fly ball into center field. Looks to be routine for Maffey, but he started back. Now he has to come in, and he does make the catch. Misjudged it at first, so he had a lot of ground to cover. But in the end, no problem for Maffey, as it is the second 1-2-3 inning of the game for Fleming. He's set down 4 in a row, and he'll send us to the bottom of the third with no score. There's a new pitcher in the game for Indiana South Bend as we move into the bottom of the third inning. 2 strong frames for Cage Hake. The new man in the ball game is a left-hander. It's Sam Hinshaw. Hinshaw is on for the 9th time, 7th as a reliever. He's 1-1 with a 9.42 ERA. In 14 1/3 innings, he's allowed 17 runs, 15 of them earned on 20 hits with 11 strikeouts and 13 walks. He faces fellow lefty Jake Vera to begin the bottom of the third inning. Ball 1 high on Vera. For the second consecutive ball game, Doug Bice pulls his starting pitcher after 2 shutout innings. Backfired on him in game 1 as the first reliever came in and quickly allowed 3 runs. There's a swing and a miss. It's 1-1. But that's been his MO all year. Shuffle those pitchers around. Nobody has been pitching too many innings for the Titans. Vera bunts and misses, strike 2. One ball, 2 strikes on Vera, getting his first at bat of the ball game. The number 9 hitter for St. Francis. He strikes out swinging. Foul tip into the catcher's glove. Second time a Fighting Saint has struck out in this game. The leadoff batter is retired. 7 straight set down by South Bend pitchers. 6 by their starter Hake. And now 1 by Hinshaw, the reliever. Final line on Cage Hake. 2 innings pitched, no runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Here's the guy who walked. Alex Martinez takes ball 1. Martinez was the first batter to face Hake today. He drew a free pass and then moved to second base on a Nate Maliska single. Fouled back, 1-1. That was 2 batters into the game. Felt like it was going to be a big ball game offensively for St. Francis, and instead, they haven't gotten another base runner since then. 1-1 on Martinez. Ball 2 outside. Finale of a doubleheader here today. St. Francis took game 1 4-3. Fighting Saints will remain at home after this one. On Friday they play here. Looped out to right field, a base hit for Martinez. Soft liner, played on 1 hop by Cole Miller. Saints have their second hit today. So Martinez is aboard. The go-ahead run, still very early. And it's Nate Maliska's turn. Up until a few seconds ago, Maliska had the only hit of the game for the Saints. Now he's got 1 of the 2. First pitch to Maliska from Hinshaw. This is high for ball 1. Indiana South Bend came into play today a game and a half ahead of St. Francis in the CCAC standings. With their win in game 1, the Saints have moved to a half game out. Ball up and away, 2-0. In overall record, they're neck and neck as well. St. Francis is now 13-20. Or rather, South Bend is 13-20. Saints are 13-23. Ball 3, 3-0 on Maliska. A win in this game would vault the Fighting Saints over Indiana South Bend in the conference standings. Strike called on 3-0. Maliska will stay in the box for a little bit longer. That game 1 win did give the Saints an 8-7 conference record. Maliska takes a ball high. First walk issued by Hinshaw. And for the second time today, both Martinez and Maliska reach base. They're at second and first, respectively. Prior to this recent run of success, the Fighting Saints hadn't been above 500 in conference play. But they've won 3 of their last 4 games, including a doubleheader sweep against Judson on Saturday. They took 2 of 3 against a very good Roosevelt team. Strike 1 called on Eric Maffey. And now they're trying to sweep Indiana South Bend. After this, their next 3-game series will be against Trinity International. 1 at home, 2 on the road, or the other way around. Fly ball out to right field. It's deep to the warning track. It's gone. Second home run of the day for Eric Maffey. This time he goes the other way. A 3-run shot, and St. Francis jumps in front for the second straight game. In game one, Maffey hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the third inning. This time he hits a 3-run homer in the bottom of the third. Still just 1 out in the inning. Here's Brian Hidalgo. 0 for 1 with a line out to the shortstop. Hidalgo bats for the second time. And the first pitch misses low and in. Hinshaw struck out the first batter he faced here in the bottom of the third. He got Jake Vera on 4 pitches, but he hasn't retired a soul since then. Single walk home run. Strike 1 on Hidalgo. Maffey's home run came on an 0-1 count. But other than that, Hinshaw has been falling behind hitters. There's a line shot to the shortstop, played on 1 hop. The throw to first pulls Bedell off the bag, but he's able to apply the tag. Hidalgo is out number 2. We saw Brett Sikorsky commit a throwing error in game 1 today. Nearly had another one there, but Bedell was able to bail him out. Here's Jake Lasota. Home run for Maffey gives him 12 homers, 38 RBIs this season. Jake Lasota swings the first pitch, shoots it into the gap, right center field. Ranging to his right and playing that ball on a hop, Cole Miller holds Lasota to a single. Third hit of the inning for St. Francis, and they keep it alive with 2 outs for Gio Pappas. Pinch runner over at first base, that's Matt Montgomery. So Montgomery is at first, Gio Pappas is in the box. And most importantly, 3 runs have already scored. Gio Pappas is 0 for 1, had an 8-pitch battle with Cage Hake last inning, ended up striking out. He swings at the first pitch here, hits it sky high, left side foul, and out of play. Strike 1. Pappas is the 7th batter of the inning. The Fighting Saints have 3 hits and a walk in the frame and have scored 3 runs. Hinshaw takes a long look in at his catcher Barber. He's set now for the 0-1. But he doesn't make the 0-1 pitch. He throws it to first base instead. Up and in on Pappas. 1-1. Martinez singled, Meliska walked, Maffey homered. With 3 straight M hitters. Montgomery, by the way, is at first. Been waiting for a long time for the Saints to put out an all-M starting lineup. Pappas pops it up on the infield. Sikorsky, the shortstop, makes the catch and ends the inning. 3-run score on a big blast from Eric Maffey. Saints leave 1. On our way to the 4th, St. Francis 3, Indiana South Bend 0. It's the top of the fourth inning. Ethan Fleming has pitched well so far today, and now he's got the lead for the first time. Gets to go out to the mound with a 3-run cushion as his first pitch is tapped foul for strike one. 0-1 on the number 2 batter, Logan Smith. First time through the batting order. Fleming retired 7 out of 9. Gave up a couple of harmless singles and nothing more. Logan Smith grounded to third base his first time up. This time he takes a ball low and outside, 1-1. Fleming has retired 4 in a row. He's gotten 5 outs against those 4 batters. 2 1-2-3 innings today. Fouled away by Smith. It's 1-2. St. Francis is trying to sweep a doubleheader for the first time since 3 days ago. It'll be Judson in a pair on Saturday, 2-0 and 9-4 here at home. Popped foul and out of play. Still 1-2. They'll wrap up a 5-game homestand against Trinity International on Friday at 3 o'clock and then close the season with the majority of away games. Foul tipped by Smith. Still 1-2. 4 of the last 6 games will be played away from Dooley Health and Care Field. Fouled again by Smith. He's just barely getting a piece of these balls and staying alive. 3 2-strike fouls. He'll see a 7th offering from Ethan Fleming. Indiana South Bend's bullpen is active again. St. Francis's is not. No reason to doubt Fleming so far. Ball low and outside, 2-2. Titans, on the other hand, have been churning through pitchers at a pretty rapid rate. 2-2. Poked foul again. Both sides used 4 pitchers in game 1. Although remember, the Saints used 4 pitchers over 7 innings. The Titans 4 over 6. There's a chopper. It looks in fair territory. It's played by Hector Carrillo, who sends it over to first base. Is this going to count as an out? I didn't see if either umpire threw his hands up to indicate the play was dead. But Logan Smith didn't run it out. He said that it hit his foot and therefore should be a foul ball. So let's see what the call is. It is a foul ball. So now Brian Mahalik wants a further explanation. As it stands, that's the 5th 2-strike foul ball he's hit in this at-bat. So the next pitch will be the 10th of the sequence here. Brian Mahalik still wants that to be the end of the at-bat and the first out of the inning. He hit a bouncer right to the third baseman. It was a softly hit ball. I thought there was going to be a close play at first, but I looked to the batter's box and realized Logan Smith wasn't running it out at all. So he said right away it hit his foot, and the umpires agreed. Another foul ball. He'll see an 11th pitch. That's 6 foul balls since he fell behind in the count with 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Fleming got him. He did not go down easy, but Logan Smith ultimately does strike out. 2nd strikeout of the ball game for Ethan Fleming. They've both come leading off innings, and he's now set down 5 in a row as Caleb Farnham comes to the plate. Farnham is 0 for 1. He grounded out to first in the first. He takes ball 1 high. Left-handed hitter, Farnham rocks in the box, waits for the pitch, and Fleming drills him in the side. May have been able to just turn and get that one off his back instead of his hip. But wherever it hit, it gave him first base. So Farnham's at first. 3rd base runner of the game for IUSB. First one that they didn't earn through their own hitting prowess. Strike one called on Bell. Brendan Bell is 0 for 1. He struck out swinging to lead off the second. 5 straight Titans had been retired prior to Farnham getting hit by a pitch. And so he stands at first base right now with a 1-1 count on Brendan Bell. Brett Sikorsky is next. Ball outside, 2-1. Tough inning so far for Ethan Fleming. It started with a strikeout, but it was an 11-pitch battle. Now there's a man on first. Swing and a miss. Fleming's gotten more of those this inning than he had in the first 3. He could use a strikeout or a ground ball right here. His team leads 3-0 thanks to Eric Maffey's home run. There is a ground ball, but it's foul. And the count is 2-2. In game 1, St. Francis broke a scoreless tie with 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Ball outside, 3-2. Here in this game, St. Francis broke a scoreless tie with a 3-0 inning. In the bottom of the 3rd. 7th pitch of the at-bat to Bell. Check swing. Called strike 3. Bell thought he had watched ball 4 go by. He was getting ready to trot down to first base, but he is rung up and is now the 3rd strikeout victim of the game. 2 outs. Farnham is still at first. And the batter is Brett Sikorsky. Sikorsky singled his first time up, one of 2 hits for IUSB. Here he takes a strike. Called strike 2, and Fleming is one more of those away from getting out of it. Turning things back over to his offense. The 0-2 pitch. Foul tipped into the catcher's glove. That's strike 3. That's the inning, and that is a near perfect inning for Ethan Fleming. He hit Caleb Farnham, but other than that, struck out everybody he faced. 3 strikeouts in the inning, 4 in the game, and we've played 3.5 with our score. St. Francis 3, Indiana South Bend nothing. Into the bottom of the 4th inning. Our score is 3-0 with St. Francis in the lead. Ethan Fleming has thrown 4 shutout frames, allowing just 2 hits so far. And meanwhile, St. Francis is now facing their third pitcher of the game. First one from Peyton Carney misses inside for ball one on Hector Carrillo. Peyton Carney is making his 12th appearance of the season, his fourth as a reliever. He's 0-4 with an 8.53 ERA. In 19 innings, he's given up 20 runs, 18 of them earned on 20 hits, with 14 walks and 8 strikeouts. Carrillo fouls it off. It's 1-1. Hector Carrillo this afternoon has gone 0-for-1, did not play in game one of the doubleheader. Grounded out and is only at bat so far here in game two. 1-1 pitch. Strike called over the outside corner, 1-2. Difference in the game so far is Eric Maffey's 3-run homer. He hit that last inning. And so far today, he's got 5 of St. Francis's 7 RBIs. Ground ball up the middle, off the mound, ricochets over to the shortstop Sikorsky, and he throws on over to first in time for out number 1. Didn't take too weird a bounce off the mound. I think it benefited Sikorsky. Ball ended up bouncing right to him instead of going out to center field. Here's Dan Gusel. Gusel is 0-for-1, the DH here in game 2 for St. Francis. He grounded out to third base his first time up. He takes a ball outside. His first at bat came against the starting pitcher, Cage Hake, who went 2 shutout innings. Sam Hinshaw struggled. He allowed the 3 runs in his 1 inning of work. 1 strikeout, 1 walk, 3 hits, 3 runs all earned. Ball inside, 2-0. One out, nobody on. 2-0 pitch from Carney to Gusel. Up high in the zone for a strike. It's 2-1. Peyton Carney's another senior. It's a veteran-laden pitching staff, certainly the ones that we've seen today. All 3 who've appeared in this game have been seniors. Carney misses outside. 3-1 on Gusel. Jake Vera's on deck. If anybody reaches, Alex Martinez will get his 3rd chance to hit in this game. Three-one pitch. Swing and a miss. It's 3-2. All 3 pitchers who have appeared in this game have something else in common as well. They've all had some problems with control. All 3 of them have more walks than strikeouts on the season. Gusel flies it into right center field, shallow. Tough play as both outfielders come in and can't find it. It drops between them for a base hit. Both the right fielder Cole Miller and center fielder Donnie Neckes didn't pick that ball up well off the bat. I think that the second baseman Brendan Bell did. It seemed like he had a beat on it. But it was a little bit too deep for him to make the play. By the time those 2 outfielders had raced in, they just didn't get there on time. So it's a single for Gusel and a tough break for Peyton Carney, who did not give up a hard hit ball. Jake Vera now has a chance to advance the runner, trying to help the Saints to another rally here. 1-0 on Vera, who struck out his last time up. St. Francis led by 3 at this stage in game 1 today as well. Vera fouls it off, 1-1. IUSB fought back and only lost by 1. So the Saints have firsthand knowledge just within the last couple of hours of what the Titans offense is capable of, and just the fact that a 3-run lead is nowhere near safe. And so with that in mind, they are going to look to add on here now that they've got a chance with a man on. Vera flies it into shallow left, down the line. Long run for Josiah Nelson. He gets there, losing his hat in the process. He makes the catch. 2 outs. Gusel returns to first base. And the batter is Alex Martinez. Dan Gusel is running for himself over at first base. In game 1, he reached a couple of times and was immediately replaced by Montgomery. But he's the DH in this game. He's not the catcher, so he does not get the pinch runner treatment every time he's on. They can only use it once on him. In this game, anyway. Martinez grounds it through the hole on the left side. That's the 3rd time that Alex Martinez has found his way on base today. He's walked, and now that's his 2nd single of the game. Gusel advances to second on the play. 2 on with 2 out. Do the Saints have even more 2-out magic in them? Nate Maliska, like Martinez before him, reached base in his first 2 plate appearances. Single in the first, walked and scored in the third. Martinez has now reached 3 times. Can Maliska match him? Ground ball over to second base. It doesn't look like it, but it bounces off the glove of Bell, and he doesn't have a play. So, indeed, he does reach for a 3rd time today. It'll count as an out on his stat sheet. But the second baseman's error allows the inning to continue. And St. Francis has the bases loaded for a guy who's already hit 2 home runs today. Two singles and an error, and the bags are full for Maffey. 38 RBIs on the season. That's twice as many as anybody else on the team. He can extend it to 40 with a hit here. Ground ball foul to the third base side, strike 1. The inning should have ended on the Maliska ground ball, but the bobble from Brendan Bell kept it alive. That means if any of these runners score, they'll be unearned, but that's not the primary concern right now of Peyton Carney, who's trying to get through a scoreless inning and keep his team in the game. Ground ball left side, a sliding stop made by the third baseman Logan Smith. He throws to second and gets the force. 5-4 putout, and the inning is over. Nice work by the combination of Peyton Carney and Logan Smith to keep the Saints off the scoreboard in the 4th. They leave them loaded on our way to the 5th. It's 3-0 Saints. Ethan Fleming's been good through 4 innings. He'll try to remain that way in the 5th, protecting a 3-run lead as Cole Miller steps in to lead off for South Bend and takes ball 1 inside. It's Miller, Bedell, and Nelson to face Fleming. Saints had a chance to extend that lead considerably. In the bottom of the 4th inning, they had the bases loaded with their best hitter in the box. But Peyton Carney got out of it. And the 3 runs scored in the bottom of the 3rd inning remain the only ones on the board right now. 2-0 on Cole Miller, who takes low and away. 3 balls and no strikes. Fleming hasn't been close so far in this at-bat. Cole Miller singled his last time up. He's 1 for 1 in the game. And he takes a strike here, 3-1. 1 for 1 in the game, 1 for 3 in the doubleheader so far. He was hit by a pitch in the first game. He strokes this one down the left field line. That's a fair ball into the corner. Just barely fair. Miller has extra bases out of it. Sent back to the infield by Jake Vera, and Cole Miller has a double. Good start to the inning for IUSB. It's their first extra base hit of the game. Their first hit of any kind since the second inning. Fleming struck out the side in the fourth. He had retired 7 of the previous 8 hitters prior to that Miller double. And now it's Hunter Bedell's turn to bat in an RBI spot here with a man at second base, nobody out. Or at least a chance to advance the runner. First pitch to Bedell, taken for ball 1. Bedell grounded into an inning-ending double play his first time up, trying to make amends here with an RBI hit. Ahead in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Bedell's got 1 RBI so far this year. Actually 2. He had 1 earlier in today's action. Back in game 1 of the doubleheader, a run-scoring single in the 7th. Grounds this one off his foot. That's a foul ball. That one a little bit more clear. We had a situation like that last inning in which the runner was sent back into the batter's box after it looked like he had grounded out. This time clearly made contact with the batter before it got out to the third baseman, so no chance at getting it out on that one, but it is a strike, a big strike from Fleming, who's been a little bit wild to start this inning. And he remains a little wild, outside 3-1. He's thrown 9 pitches this inning. 6 of them have missed the zone. And one of the 3 that was a strike was pounded out to left field for a double. That one's pounded out to left field as well. On a line, it's picked up by Jake Vera as he gets it quickly into the infield and keeps Miller at third base. But it's back-to-back hits to start the 5th inning for IUSB. And they've got him at the corners now with nobody out for Josiah Nelson. That might be it for Ethan Fleming, who was great through 4 innings but has struggled in the 5th. There's a right-hander who's been loosening in the bullpen. The signal has not been made to him yet. So they may stick with the freshman Fleming for now. Trying to get a look at who that is warming up in the bullpen. It's hard to tell. These jerseys aren't helping me. The gold jerseys are very stylish. But the white numbers are a little hard to read on them. Well, I don't know. Try to figure it out as we go. He's not coming in just yet, so let's just focus on the pitcher who is in, Ethan Fleming, who stays in the game to face Josiah Nelson. Nelson is 0 for 1 with a ground out. He fouls it back, strike 1. Nelson has 1 run batted in this year. Doesn't need a hit here to double that total. Ground out or a fly out would score a run. Liner off of Fleming's glove. It ricochets over to short. Picked up by Hidalgo, who steps on the bag and fires to first for the double play. So that'll go as a 1-6-3 double play because it ricocheted off the glove of Ethan Fleming, who did a good job just of getting his glove up there. Unfortunately for the Saints, it hit right over to Hidalgo after that. So it is a double play, and a run does score, but it is not an RBI for Nelson because of the double play. It's a 3-1 game, but now the bases are empty with 2 outs. The number 9 batter, Donnie Neckes, takes ball 1 inside. Second time today that South Bend has hit into a big rally-killing double play. The inning's not over yet. There's still a chance they add a few more runs, but they'll have to start over with 2 outs. 3-1, so the shutout is gone. But the Saints definitely got the better of that deal. Neckes takes a strike, 2-1. Fleming now able to pitch more comfortably with nobody on base. And he's just 1 out away from getting through the 5th inning and qualifying for the victory as this ball's fouled away to the right side, 2-2. Fleming's trying to win his first collegiate game today, and even though we're not yet halfway through this thing, right around the halfway point right now, he's in pretty good shape to get that win if things continue at the same pace. Hard hit ball, but foul to the right, still 2-2. Four, 5, and 6 due up for the Saints in the bottom of the 5th. Hidalgo, Lasota, and Pappas. High pop-up behind home plate. Lasota gives it a look, but that's well out of play. Another long at-bat here. Ethan Fleming threw 7 pitches total in the first inning. He's since then had 3 at-bats, which were longer than that all by themselves. Inside, 3-2. Titans have done a great job of working the count. Hasn't always resulted in base runners, but they've kept Fleming working. Two outs, nobody on, the full count pitch. Drive out to right field, cutting foul and out of play. So Neckes will see a 9th pitch. Righty versus lefty, the 3-2. High fly, shallow left. This one in fair territory. Vera comes racing in, gets to the spot, and makes the catch to end the inning. 1 run scores for IUSB, but after back-to-back hits to lead off the inning, Fleming pitches out of more trouble. And he heads to the bottom of the 5th inning with the rest of his team leading 3-1. Bottom 5, it's 3-1 St. Francis over Indiana South Bend as Brian Hidalgo steps in to lead off the 5th inning for the Saints. Hidalgo's 0 for 2 in this game. He swings and misses for strike 1. Saints scored all 3 of their runs on 1 swing of the bat. Eric Maffey hit a home run with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd to put them ahead. Hidalgo is hit on the side with the pitch from Peyton Carney, and the leadoff man reaches for the Fighting Saints for the first time since the 1st inning. Saints had a chance to add to their lead in the 4th. They had the bases loaded. Couldn't bring home any more runs, and then South Bend almost made them pay for it with a big inning of their own, but after getting back-to-back hits to begin the top of the 5th, they managed just 1 run thanks to a double play. 3-1 our scores. Jake Lasota steps in for the 3rd time. Lasota takes ball 1. He singled his last time up. Flew out to right field in the first. Peyton Carney is in his second inning of work for the Titans. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Carney allowed a couple of hits in the fourth, but no runs scored against him. One and one. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. Brian Hidalgo's the man at first base. Not a big stolen base threat. He's 1 for 1 this year. Gio Pappas is on deck. Ground ball back to the pitcher. Carney gloves it, throws to second. It's a wild throw, and they can't get the out at second base. That'll be a throwing error on Peyton Carney, and they're at first and second with nobody out. I don't know if that ball slipped out of Carney's hand or if he just misjudged or mistimed his throw. Not an easy throw to make because he's turning around and throwing all in one motion. And he had to do it quickly because he was trying to get a double play out of it, but he did it too quickly and ended up with no outs. It was a weird play because it was the shortstop, Brett Sikorsky, covering the bag, but Brendan Bell, being a dutiful second baseman, went to back it up. So Bell, several feet behind the base, actually caught that wild throw. Gio Pappas bunts it down the third base line. It's a good bunt. The Titans let it roll, and maybe not so good after all. It's a foul ball. If that had stayed fair, that would have been a base hit for Pappas, and the Titans knew it, so they just let it go, hoping it would end up wide of the line, and it did. This is some of the slower artificial turf that I can remember seeing at any ballpark that's got the AstroTurf, but it still is going to move faster than it does on a natural surface. So a bunt down the line like that is going to go foul a little bit more often than if it were on grass. Not like that Mets-Padres game yesterday. They had a couple in a row that just hugged the line. Ball outside, 1-1. Going back to the previous play, the one in which Jake Lasota reached on the throwing error, it looked like they may have gotten the force out at second base despite the wild throw because Brendan Bell was backing up the play. He caught the throw several feet behind the bag and then raced to second base and tried to beat Hidalgo there. It was a bang-bang play, but it was ruled he didn't get there in time. Another bunt down the third base line. Again, the Titans let it roll, and it goes foul. That time, if Logan Smith had charged it, he may have had a chance of getting Pappas at first base, but decided not to take the chance. He let it go, and it's strike two, and now Pappas is likely going to have to swing away. So time will tell if that was a good move by Smith or not. Pappas runs well. That wasn't a bad bunt. It was a little bit harder, I think, than he'd like it to be, but I don't know that they would have gotten him at first if Smith had made the play. They could have, though. Would have been a risk to play it. It was a risk to let it go. Now we'll see what the result is on the 1-2 pitch. Pappas likely will be swinging here. Smith, though, is still in at third base. He does swing, and he misses. Strike three. Second time that Pappas has struck out today. One down in the fifth. Runners at first and second. And the batter is Hector Carrillo, the third baseman. One run, 4 hits, 2 errors for Indiana South Bend, 3-6-0 for St. Francis. Hector Carrillo is 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts today. Peyton Carney could use one of those right here. It might get him out of the inning. Swing and a miss, strike one. He chased one in his eyes. Bottom of the fifth inning, game 2 of a doubleheader. St. Francis has already won the opener, but they're trying to make it their second consecutive doubleheader sweep and a 4-game winning streak. They've won 4 of their last 5 coming in. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2, or a foul tip anyway from Carrillo. No balls and 2 strikes. With runners at first and second and one out, it's 0-2. Righty to righty. Next pitch coming. And it's high for ball one. Since entering this game, Peyton Carney has faced 10 batters, including the man in the box right now. He's thrown an inning and a third. He's allowed 5 base runners, but nobody has scored. 2 of those base runners did come on errors, but one of the errors was his own. 1-2. Filed away. After a quick start in which neither team scored for the first 2.5 innings, the pace of this one has slowed down a lot. A lot of base runners, a lot of long at-bats. But not a lot of guys have scored. Just the 3-run homer for Maffey, and then a run off of a double play in the top half of this inning for Indiana. There's a high fly, shallow right. Backing up is Bell, the second baseman. He makes the catch, 2 down. There's still one more big, important step to go. But so far, high marks for Peyton Carney, pitching around trouble. With 2 on and nobody out, he's gotten a strikeout and a pop-out, and now is 1 out away from putting a 0 on the scoreboard for the bottom of the 5th. Dan Gusel is 1 for 2 in the ball game with a single. Gusel has 1 RBI this year. He can add to that total with a hit here. The runners will be on the move with 2 outs, or with 2 strikes rather. Swing and a miss, it's 0-1. No, with 2 outs, they'll be on the move on contact is what I was trying to say. Number of strikes has nothing to do with it. So a base hit will likely score Hidalgo from second. That's my point. As long as Gusel gets it to the outfield, down safely, Saints should get that run back that Indiana South Bend scored in the top half of the inning. Ball high, 1-1. Saints have not trailed today. They scored first and led all the way through game 1. They scored first here in game 2 and haven't given that up. 1-1 in the dirt. Good block that time by Drew Barber. Count is 2-1. Barber will lead off the top of the 6th inning when we get there. Top of the order for IUSB. They might be facing a new pitcher. Fleming struggled a bit in the 5th. I think it was Cody Nold who was warming up down the right field line. He is not right now, but he'd be ready to go if Brian Mahalik makes the move in the next inning. Gusel pops it up, left side of the infield. That's playable for Logan Smith, the third baseman. He makes the grab and ends the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 error. They put 2 on base with nobody out. Didn't score. They left them both. We'll go to the 6th inning. 3-1 St. Francis. After 5, our score is 3-1, St. Francis over Indiana South Bend. New pitcher in the ball game for USF. Another freshman, right-hander Cody Nold. Nold is on for the 8th time this year. He's 0-1 with an 8.56 ERA. In 13 2/3 innings, he's allowed 15 runs, 13 of them earned on 18 hits, 9 walks, 4 strikeouts. Nold's first pitch is swung on and missed. 0-1 on Drew Barber, the leadoff batter and catcher. Barber is 0 for 2 today. He's flown out to left and to center, both of those against the starting pitcher Ethan Fleming. I'll give you his final numbers in just a moment. Barber takes the ball low and away. 1-1. If this score holds, Fleming would pick up his first collegiate win. He went 5 innings today as Barber shoots it foul, 1-2. 5 innings, he allowed 4 hits, 1 run. It was an earned run. He hit 1 batter but didn't walk any. And he struck out 4. Ball outside, 2-2. Cody Nold trying to retire the first batter that he faces today. Misses outside. Ball 3. 3 straight misses for Nold. After starting Barber out 0-2. We've seen a lot of full counts in this game. And he's hit on the shoulder by the 3-2 pitch. So the leadoff man reaches for the second straight inning for IUSB. After starting Barber out 0-2, Nold missed, or lost him, I should say, with 4 straight bad ones. He didn't miss him. It's got to be very frustrating as a hitter to get hit on a 3-ball count. Because the silver lining of getting hit by a pitch is, yeah, you probably got a bruise, but at least you get to go down to first base. But if he had been able to get out of the way of that one, he's at first base anyway. It would have been ball 4, so there's no silver lining to getting hit. Throw over to first base to check on the runner. It ricochets away, but not far enough for an advance. That is a different runner over at first base with the catcher Barber reaching. They brought in Kobe Campbell as the courtesy runner. Campbell is a guy you got to keep an eye on. 14 stolen bases this year. And he takes off on the first pitch here. It's a strike, throw to second, heads out to center field. So Campbell is safe at second with his 15th steal of the year. It's 0-1 on Logan Smith. Runner in scoring position now. That throw from Lesota actually had him beat, but it rolled under the glove of Alex Martinez at second base. Short hop, Martinez kept his glove up a little bit too high on it. And so the Saints become the latest team that can't catch Campbell on the base paths. Foul ball hit by Smith, 0-2. Logan Smith is 0 for 2 with the ground out and a strikeout. Campbell's over at second base. I talked about him briefly during game 1, even though he didn't appear in it. He's a guy who has one role on this team. It's to run when a catcher gets on base. Or maybe when one of the slower runners gets on, they need a pinch runner late in the game. Foul back, still 0-2. He doesn't bat, he doesn't play the field, he just runs the bases. Campbell has appeared in 24 games this year. He only has 1 at bat all season. But he's got 15 stolen bases now, and he has scored 15 runs. He's 180 feet away from making it 16 runs. Liner back off the pitcher. It stops in front of Nold, and he doesn't have a play on it. So that's an infield single for Logan Smith. Campbell advances to third, and they're at the corners, tying run on base for the Fighting, or rather for the Titans against the Fighting Saints, with nobody out here in the 6th. Brian Mahalik comes out to have a look at Cody Nold. Didn't see exactly where that ball got him. It looked like he turned away from it, which is not a bad idea. Your bottom is probably the most padded area to get hit in, and I think that's where it got him. Kind of stuck his glove down on the play, but I don't think he got it on the glove at all. And the ball then kind of died right in front of him. And he would have had a play at first base, but he slipped and fell. And so Logan Smith was able to make it to first base without a throw. So an infield single. That was a screamer right up the middle. And it's fortunate that Noel didn't get hit on a particularly dangerous spot. He seemed fine all the way through. His slip had more to do with his footing. It wasn't that he was out of sorts after he had been hit by the batted ball. So he just lost his footing, and it may have cost him an out, but he's doing fine health-wise. And there are runners at the corners now with nobody out. Caleb Farnham is the batter, and he's got a chance to turn this game around entirely with one swing of the bat. Tying run at first base, the leading run in the box. Farnham is 0 for 1. He's been hit by a pitch today. He hits a hard grounder right to the first baseman. Meliska throws to second and gets the force. Not a good throw from Meliska. The ball was hit hard enough that they had the opportunity to get two there, but they'll settle for the one out. The run scores. It's now a one-run game. For the second straight game, St. Francis secured an early 3-run lead, and Indiana South Bend has just chipped away at it. Now they got the tying run at first base. Farnham grounds into the 3-6 fielder's choice. And the batter is Brendan Bell. Bell is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. He takes ball one high. Good play by the shortstop, Brian Hidalgo there. Meliska was at a really tough angle to throw from. He didn't want to take a step and give himself a better angle because he wanted to work quickly enough to turn two. Inside, it hit him. Just barely grazed him on the way by, but that's enough to send Bell down to first base. That's the way you want to get hit by a pitch. Not hard in the shoulder with already a 3-ball count, but just grazing your jersey sleeve and sending it down to first base. And that's what happens to Brendan Bell. He's at first. Farnham up to second base. Still only one out in the inning. And Cody Nold's day is done. Tough outing for him as he lasts just a third of an inning. And he departs with 2 runners on base. So a new pitcher coming in. I'll tell you about him in just a moment. 3-2 St. Francis leads in the 6th. Big moment in the top of the 6th inning. St. Francis leads 3-2. And Indiana South Bend has runners at first and second with only one out. Brett Sikorsky is the batter against the new St. Francis pitcher, right-hander Josh Kernbauer. On for the second time today. His first pitch to Brett Sikorsky is hit hard out to right field, but foul, strike one. Kernbauer came in game 1 of today's doubleheader. And he pitched out of a big jam in the 4th inning, retiring 3 batters in a row. He inherited 2 runners in that situation with nobody out, allowed one of them to score. Strike called, 0-2. If he allows one of these guys to score, it will be a tie game, so it's imperative for Kernbauer to keep them both on the bases. But last time he entered with nobody out. This time he's got one out. He could potentially get out of the inning with a ground ball. Sikorsky fouls it away, still 0-2. Brett Sikorsky's 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout in this game. He went 1 for 3 in game 1, including a flyout against Josh Kernbauer. Kernbauer threw 16 pitches in his first appearance today. Ball inside, 1-2. It's probably on the high end of whether or not to allow him to pitch a second time in the same day. But I imagine this will be a short-term appearance for Kernbauer as well. 1-2. Popped up, foul, left side, out of play. There is, in fact, a right-hander already getting loose down the line for St. Francis right now. So if Kernbauer gets out of this inning, it'll probably be the end of his day. One and 2 the count. It gets away from Jake Lasota. The runners advance. 2-2 now, and the force is out of play. A base hit would likely give IUSB the lead. Kernbauer came in and immediately got ahead of Sikorsky 0-2, but things have fallen apart since. The runners have advanced. 2 balls and 2 strikes. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat. Lifted into shallow left field. Vera comes in. The runners go back to tag. Vera makes the catch. Farnham holds up at third base. The throw was well up the first base line. If Farnham had decided to test the arm of Jake Vera, he would have scored. But on a shallow fly ball, you can't assume the throw is going to be off the mark. And so Farnham stayed put, and there are 2 outs in the inning. So now it's up to Cole Miller to try to get these runs in. St. Francis led 3-0. That lead is down to 1 run. And Cole Miller bats for the 3rd time. He's a perfect 2 of 2 today with a single, a double, and a run scored. First pitch from Kernbauer to Miller. Liner to short, over the glove of Hidalgo and out to left center field. Farnham scores the tying run. Brendan Bell crosses the plate with the go-ahead run. It's 4-3 thanks to a 2-run single with 2 outs in the inning from Cole Miller. That was just inches away from the glove of Brian Hidalgo. He barely missed it, but it does reach left field and it turns into the go-ahead hit. Here's Hunter Bedell. You know that in the St. Francis dugout, they've not been happy with themselves for leaving a lot of chances offensively out on the base paths, but even more frustrating now is that ball's popped out to right field, and that drops for a base hit. Hunter Bedell is aboard with a single, and Cole Miller makes it around to third base. They're at the corners thanks to back-to-back 2-out hits. The line is final on Cody Nold, by the way. Nold went a third of an inning and allowed 3 runs. He retired just 1 of the 4 batters he faced. The others all came in to score 1 hit and 2 hit batters. So tough day for Nold. He will get credit for a blown save. And Fleming, who pitched really well for 5 innings today, will not pick up his first victory. Josiah Nelson is the 8th batter of the inning. He takes ball 1 outside. Doug Bice, the head coach for Indiana South Bend, comes out to make a quick change. He's going to bring a pinch runner over to first base for Hunter Bedell. It's Cooper Geen doing the running at first now. I was just saying St. Francis is probably lamenting all of their missed opportunities. Through 5 innings, they've left 8 runners on base. The majority of those in scoring position. It was frustrating at the time, but when you end up winning a game, afterwards you're not going to spend too much time wallowing in runners left on base as Nelson takes ball 2. But when all of a sudden you're losing by a run, you've left 8 runners on through 5 innings. And you start to think about all those missed chances again. That could have been a big lead for the Fighting Saints prior to this inning, which would have precluded this rally from South Bend giving them the lead. 3-0 on Nelson. Donnie Neckis is on deck. Already a big inning for Indiana South Bend. They're trying to turn it into a huge one. 3-0 from Kernbauer with the runner on the move. It's ball 4 upstairs. And the bases are loaded. Now we'll see if the Fighting Saints can get out of a tough spot the same way that Indiana South Bend's pitchers have been doing all game. Bases loaded, 2 down. Will Donnie Neckis break this game open, or will the Saints come back to the dugout with just a 1-run deficit? Neckis is 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts. He takes a first pitch strike. We're still only in the 6th inning. So this is not as bad for St. Francis as some of the other leads they've blown over the course of this season. Ball upstairs, 1-1. They've had a lot of games in which they've lost leads in the 7th, 8th, 9th, even extra innings. But it's the same trend popping up over and over again. They just have a lot of young arms in the bullpen and makes it difficult to put guys into high-pressure situations. Check swing on a ball low and in, 2-1. And today it was the freshman Cody Nold who struggled out of the pen. Josh Kernbauer is having his share of difficulties now. Kernbauer, the veteran arm. He's a junior who's primarily been an infielder over the course of his career here. There's a ground ball inside the first base line and down into the corner. This will score at least a couple. Miller and Bedell are already in. Josiah Nelson comes around third base and scores without a throw. It's a 3-run triple for Donnie Neckis, and this game has been broken open. A big lead for Indiana South Bend thanks to a 6-run inning. And the difference has been very easy to see. The Saints got base runners early, didn't do anything with them. The Titans have been getting base runners this inning, and they have made them all count. 9 batters have come to the plate. 6 of them have scored, and that'll do it for Josh Kernbauer, who did not have the same success here in his second appearance of the day as he did in his first back in Game 1. South Bend on a roll here. They've got a man at third base with 2 outs and a new pitcher coming in. I'll tell you about him in just a few moments. 7-3, IUSB on top. New pitcher for the Fighting Saints is Sean Mahalik. Like Josh Kernbauer before him, Mahalik is making his second appearance of the day. He threw 29 pitches in his appearance earlier. It's been about 2 hours, 20 minutes or so since his last pitch. First one, here's a check swing roller to the right side from Drew Barber. Picked up at second base by Alex Martinez. He throws to first and ends the inning. So just one pitch from Sean Mahalik, and the Saints are out of it. But IUSB scores 6 runs in the 6th inning on 4 hits. They leave 1. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Saints trailing for the first time today, 7-3. (7-3) Indiana South Bend over St. Francis as we move into the bottom of the 6th inning. Jake Vera leads things off against a new pitcher for Indiana South Bend. Josh Chadgett, the left-handed side armor, misses outside for ball 1 on Vera. Chadgett on for the 9th time in relief this year. He's 1-0 with a 5.79 ERA. 9 1/3 innings pitched. He's allowed 6 runs, 11 hits. He's walked 4, struck out 10. 2-0 on Vera. Jake Vera's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout in the game. 9-1-2 due up for St. Francis. Trying to make a comeback here as Vera takes a ball well outside, 3-0. Chadgett has come in and missed the strike zone 3 straight times, nowhere close. Each pitch has gotten a little bit further outside. Let's see if he can straighten things out here with a 3-0 count. He cannot. In fact, he overcompensated way inside on that one. Leadoff walk. That's just what the Saints needed. Here's Alex Martinez. Perfect game so far for him offensively. 2 for 2 with a couple of singles, a walk, and a run scored. 6 runs scored in the top half of this inning. Saints had led the entire way today, games 1 and 2 of the doubleheader. Martinez is drilled in the arm. He had squared to bunt, tried to get out of the way, and Chadgett has been very wild since coming in. He's thrown 5 pitches, and few of them have even been within a foot of the strike zone. So the last thing you ever want to see as a team with a 6-run rally to take the lead for the first time is to all of a sudden give your opponent a couple of free base runners right off the bat. But that's exactly what's happened here. First and second, nobody out. Saints are still in this game. Here's Nate Maliska. Maliska is 1 for 2. He has singled, walked, and scored. He's also reached down an error. So he has not been retired today. Again, Indiana South Bend is expecting a bunt, but might be in Maliska's best interest to at least take a pitch or two here. Chadget hasn't proven that he can throw it near the strike zone yet. Maliska does square to bunt, and again, the pitch is nowhere near the strike zone. 6 pitches, all of them balls, and again, they've not been borderline pitches. It was way outside and low. 1-0 on Maliska. Left-handed hitting freshman first baseman. Coming in, Chadget had walked 4 in 9 1/3 innings for the season. So his control hasn't been great this year, but it's been nothing like this. 2-0. And he's in some trouble right now. 7 pitches, all of them balls, all of them well outside the zone. He's hit 1 batter, he's walked 1. And now it's 2-0 on Maliska. Corner infielder still creeping in. Maliska takes ball 3. That one at least was close. So Chadget is starting to get there maybe, but he's going to get a visit from his manager right now after 8 consecutive balls have opened up this appearance. Well, the theme of this game, as I was just talking about last inning, has been St. Francis has had a lot of base runners. They haven't been able to do a lot with them. 8 runners left on through the first 5 innings. Meanwhile, IUSB has stranded only 3, so when they've had base runners, they've really taken advantage of it. Well, here we are again in the bottom of the 6th inning, and the Saints have a bunch of base runners. This could be the game right here. I know we still have 3 innings to play after this, but at some point, if you can't take advantage of all these guys on base, you're going to run out of opportunities. The meeting on the mound is done. 3-0 on Maliska. Chadget's next pitch. Outside corner, strike 1. That was a borderline call, and when a pitcher's thrown 8 consecutive balls, he usually doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, and that's what Maliska was banking on. But on 3-0, he does get the strike call. It's 3-1, and he's back to the batter's box. Squares to bunt early on the 3-1 count. Pulls it back, swings away, and lifts it into shallow left field. Long run for Josiah Nelson, but he gets there and makes the catch. Big time recovery from Josh Chadget there. 1 away. Runners remain at first and second. And the batter is Eric Maffey. Maffey's got the big hit in this game, the 3-run homer in the 3rd. But he's been retired in some other key situations. Left 2 runners on base in the 1st. Stranded him loaded in the 4th. He takes a ball low and away, 1-0. This is his 4th at-bat today. And in the 4 at-bats combined, he's had 9 runners on base. Nobody's going to say he didn't do his job with the 3-run homer, but when you bat with 9 runners on base total, especially when you're the big run producer on the team, you'd like to walk out with more than 3 RBIs. So let's see if he can add to the total here. Strike called, 1-1. After falling behind Maliska 3-0, Chadget recovered and got the flyout, earned himself another batter. He's straightened things out a little bit here, 1-1 on Maffey. 9 balls, 3 strikes among the 12 pitches he's thrown this inning. Borderline call went his way on 3-0 against Maliska. That really turned things around for him. You can bet if that were called a ball, he wouldn't still be in the game right now. Ball outside, 2-1. So regardless of how things would have turned out, that was definitely a difference-making call. I'm not saying it was the wrong call, just a big one. Not saying it was the right call either. He's got a better view of the strike zone than I have. Fouled back, 2-2. Brian Hidalgo's on deck. Runners at first and second, one out. Indiana South Bend just put a 6th spot on the board in the top half of this inning. Does St. Francis have an answer? Fouled back off the screen, still 2-2. Last hit for the Saints came from Alex Martinez, who singled back in the 4th inning. Since then, they've had 5 base runners, but none of them on hits. 2 hit batters, 1 walk, 2 errors. This has not been an error-proof game for IUSB. A lot of mistakes made, a lot of free base runners given. Runners on the move. The pitch is inside for a ball. Throw to third. Not in time. A double steal for St. Francis. Full count now on Maffey. And a base hit could score 2. For the lead runner, Jake Vera, that's the 11th stolen base this year. Alex Martinez gets credit for his first. 3-2 on the center fielder, Maffey. Inside, he walked him. Second walk of the inning. And the bases are loaded with only 1 out for Brian Hidalgo, and that will do it for Josh Chadgett, who faced 4 batters through only 5 strikes. He walked 2, hit 1, and he departs with the bases loaded. And the tying run coming up in the form of Brian Hidalgo. A lot of action here in the 6th inning today. Indiana South Bend scored 6 in the top half. Saints are on the verge of answering. Bases loaded, 1 out. I'll tell you about the new pitcher after a short break on my part. 7-3, IUSB leads. Bases loaded, 1 out, down by 4. St. Francis has a chance to make a big splash here with Brian Hidalgo coming up against a new IUSB pitcher. Right-hander Jackson Kruger on for the 9th time. No record, a 6.75 ERA. Kruger has pitched 6 2/3 innings this year. He's allowed 5 runs on 10 hits, 4 walks. He has struck out 5. Brian Hidalgo is 0 for 2 today. He's been hit by a pitch. He wouldn't necessarily mind that, depending on where it hits him, I guess. It would bring a run in. He'd prefer a hit. First one to Hidalgo. Hits the outside corner, strike 1. Maffey's at first. Martinez is at second. Vera's at third. None of them got hits. 2 walks and a hit batter. That was the day for Josh Chadgett. He faced 4 batters, retired 1 of them. As of now, no runs allowed, but of course all 3 of these guys are his responsibility. I was just talking about the fact that IUSB has played a mistake-filled game, a lot of them. 2 errors, a whole bunch of walks. Line shot out to center field, a base hit. Hidalgo comes through, scoring Vera from third. Martinez advances to third base. Maffey up to second. The bases remain loaded in a 7-4 game. Brian Hidalgo has his 20th RBI this year. And now the tying runs on base. Here's Jake Lasota. Jackson Kruger is already the 5th pitcher used in this game by IUSB. They used 4 in game 1. So we've seen 9 different Titans pitchers already today. Jake Lasota swings and misses, strike 1. Well, IUSB has made a lot of mistakes today, but for the most part, the Saints have let them off the hook, leaving a lot of guys on base. But here in the 6th, they come through. Brian Hidalgo's RBI single gets the scoring going once again. Now Lasota tries to add to it with a pop-up to center field. Long run in, and Neckes has to play it on a bounce. The runners all held up for a moment just in case that ball were to be caught. But everybody moves up 90 feet. That includes Alex Martinez, who scores to make it 7-5. An RBI single for Lasota, his 2nd hit of the ball game. Not a hard hit ball, but it did the trick. And Montgomery will come in to run at second base for Brian Hidalgo. Montgomery had previously been the courtesy runner for Lasota, but he's going to be used as the pinch runner here, and Alex Milcars will be the courtesy runner at first. Gio Pappas is the hitter. St. Francis led this game 3-0. Indiana South Bend scored 1 in the 5th and then 6 in the 6th inning. This 6th inning started about 40 minutes ago. And it's still going with only 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. There have been 8 runs to score. And there's a good chance we're not done seeing the scoring. The bases are loaded with only 1 out. IUSB is desperately seeking a ground ball here from Pappas, who's gone 0 for 3 in the game with a pop-up and a couple of strikeouts. First pitch to Pappas is taken outside, ball 1. Seventh batter of the inning. We've seen 2 walks, 1 hit batter, and now 2 hits this inning. 8 hits total in the game for St. Francis. Pappas takes low, 2-0. Both sides have 8 hits. 7 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the visitors. 5-8-0 for the home side. Jackson Kruger came into a tough spot with the bases loaded. It hasn't gotten any easier thanks to back-to-back singles. There's a called strike, 2-1. Both runs to score are charged to Josh Chadgett. The runner at third base is still his, so his line is still open. Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 3 on. And it's inside, ball 3. There have already been 6 combined walks and hit by pitches in this game for my USB pitchers. They can't afford another one right here with the bases full. 3-1 pitch to Pappas. In the dirt, ball 4, and the Saints have pulled within 1. A bases loaded walk, the 3rd walk issued this inning. And Pappas gets the RBI for it, number 9 this year. Milcar's up to second, Montgomery to third. Maffey scores. And the day is done officially for Chadgett. 1/3 of an inning, 3 runs. Hector Carrillo is the number 8 batter this inning for St. Francis. He's not reached base yet today. 0 for 3 as he takes strike 1. Tying run now just 90 feet away. Talk about a roller coaster ride for Indiana South Bend. They've been trailing the entire day. Both games the doubleheader. All of a sudden, they put together a 6-run inning. Carrillo grounds it to short, fielded cleanly, thrown to second for one. The relay throw is in time. Sikorsky to Bell to Bedell, and the inning is over. Saints leave a couple more. That's 10 left on base for the game, but they do bounce back nicely after Indiana South Bend scored 6 in the top of the 6th. St. Francis scores 3 in the bottom of the inning, and they pull within 1. 3 innings still to play. It's a 7-6 ball game. We've finally made it. It's the 7th inning. I didn't think the 6th would ever end. From start to finish, including both the top and the bottom half of the 6th inning, that frame lasted 40 minutes. And now on to the 7th, where Logan Smith leads off against Sean Mahalik and takes ball 1 low. 6 runs in the top of the 6th for South Bend, 3 in the bottom of the 6th for St. Francis. We've got a 1-run game now. Logan Smith takes a ball inside, 2-0. Sean Mahalik came out of the bullpen in the 6th inning and threw 1 pitch. Got Drew Barber to ground out, and that was all they needed out of him. Check swing on a ball low. It's 3-0. But it's been an interesting day for Mahalik. He threw 2 and some change in game 1. Ball 4 inside. So he walks Logan Smith on 4 pitches. Not the start to the 7th inning Mahalik was looking for. And that'll bring up Caleb Farnham. Mahalik threw 2+ innings in game 1 of the doubleheader, 29 total pitches. Pitched well. And then he sat for about 2 hours, started warming up to come into game 2. He came in through 1 pitch and was done for the inning, and then he rested a long time again because the bottom of the 6th inning featured 3 runs, a pitching change, almost 20 minutes. So it was another long layoff before coming back out there, and he's not as crisp. Coming back out for the 7th, 5 straight balls before that foul from Caleb Farnham finally breaks the string and makes the count 1-1. Caleb Farnham is 0 for 2 in this game. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored a run last inning. He's also been hit by a pitch in this one. Farnham fouls it away, 1-2. He was hit by a pitch in game 1 as well, went 0 for 2 in that game. Picked up an RBI in the 6th on that fielder's choice, one of several plays in the top of the 6th. That was inches away from turning it into a completely different story. Pickoff attempt to first base. Smith dives back to the bag. Came up with runners at the corners. Farnham hit a hot shot right to the first baseman, Maliska. Maliska's throw to second was good enough to get the out, but it wasn't good enough to create a return throw. That's bounced foul. Still 1-2. But you can think about that play. If he had made a good throw to second, maybe they would have gotten a double play. You could think about the ball that hit off the back of Cody Nold, which still gave him a chance to get an out at first base before he lost his footing and fell. And then maybe the biggest one is the line drive off the bat of Cole Miller that missed Brian Hidalgo's glove by maybe an inch or two. It looked like Hidalgo was going to pull in the line drive and ended up going just over his glove out to left center field. That led to 5 more runs scoring. Ground ball to second base, could be 2. Martinez flips to second for 1. Hidalgo's throw is in time, and the bases are empty. 2 outs on 1 swing of the bat. Nice recovery from Mahalik after 5 straight balls. He got right back into it, refound the groove, and gets Farnham to ground into the double play. So both teams have now turned a big double play in the last couple of minutes. And with 2 outs and nobody on, it's Brendan Bell trying to keep the inning alive. Bell is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. He was hit by a pitch his last time up and scored a run. He takes ball 1 inside. There's a fly ball into right field. Gio Pappas backs up on it and makes the grab. Despite the leadoff walk, turns into a pretty easy inning for Sean Mahalik. And we've reached the 7th inning stretch here in Joliet. St. Francis trails Indiana South Bend 7-6. Seven 6 IUSB over USF in the bottom of the 7th inning. St. Francis has led by as many as 3 in this game. They've trailed by as many as 4. And now they'll face another new pitcher. Right-hander Bryson Taylor on for the Titans. His 10th appearance, 7th as a reliever. He's 0-1 with a 10.38 ERA, and he faces Dan Gusel to lead things off here in the 7th. First pitch misses for ball 1. Taylor has pitched 13 innings this season. He's allowed 16 runs, 15 of them earned on 20 hits, 10 walks, 5 strikeouts on the season. Strike called, 1-1. This is the 6th pitcher that's been used in this game by IUSB. 4 pitched in game 1, so they've used 10 different pitchers today. Strike called, 1-2. They've used 18 pitchers total this year. We may see them all by the end of this doubleheader. That's the benefit of the way that they coach. Kind of Johnny Holstaff every day. Outside, 2-2 on Gusel. Their starters do not typically go long. So everyone is available theoretically every day to go an inning or 2. Two pitch. Lined into right field, slicing away from the right fielder Cole Miller and down for a hit. It rolls all the way to the wall. Dan Gusel has a leadoff double. Tying run on base for St. Francis. Here's Jake Vera. Dan Gusel's got his 4th hit of the doubleheader. The 5th pitcher today for IUSB was Jackson Kruger. Kruger pitched 2/3 of an inning. Didn't give up any of his own runs, but he did allow 3 inherited runners to score. He only retired 1 of the 4 batters he faced. He came in with the bases loaded, gave up single walk, and then got another double play to get out of the inning. But he kept his team in front. Taylor's trying to do the same. Jacob Jerka running over at second base. Jake Vera in the batter's box. Vera bunts it in front of home plate, picked up by the catcher. Barber's throw to first is in time. It's a sacrifice for Vera. Two to 4 on the putout there. And Jerka, the pinch runner, is now just 90 feet away from tying this up. Top of the order, it's Alex Martinez. He's been up 4 times. He's been on 4 times in this game. 2 singles, a walk, and a hit by pitch. Nearly a wild one on the first toss to Martinez. That would have tied the score without him having to do anything. As it is, it's ball 1. A nice stop by Drew Barber. One and one the count now on Martinez. If he's not able to get this run in, Nate Maliska will try next. Infield back up the middle. They're in at the corners. So they will concede the tie score on a grounder to either the second baseman or the shortstop and get the out. Ground ball to the shortstop. A sliding stop by Sikorsky, who throws from his knees to first and gets it there in time. Nicely played by Sikorsky, but a run scores for St. Francis. And we're tied at 7. So by not bringing the infielders in, they assured that any ground ball up the middle would get that run in. But of course, if the infielders had been playing in, there's no way that Sikorsky would have gotten to that ball anyway. So it worked out well for South Bend. At least they got the out. Now the bases are empty. 2 down. Nate Maliska is the hitter. He takes ball 1 outside. So this inning has been the opposite of the way the game has gone for St. Francis up to this point. They've gotten base runners, but they've had a real struggle getting them around and in. This inning, they get the leadoff double, and they just manufacture a run, a sacrifice bunt, and then an RBI ground out. And in a close game, that's exactly how you want it. I mean, if you could hit like 3 straight home runs, you'd want it that way too, but most important thing is, down by 1, you need to execute to at least get that 1 run in, and that's what they've done. Maliska takes outside, 2-1. Nate Maliska is 1 for 3 in this game with a walk and a run scored. He's reached on an error as well, so he's been on base 3 times. Check swing, he went around, it's 2-2. Bryson Taylor is 1 strike away from escaping this inning. Eric Maffey is on deck. Taylor doesn't want to face him with runners on. It's a big at bat. Maliska loops it into left field, and he will have to face Maffey with a runner on. Second hit of the game for Maliska, 4th time he's been on base. It's a 2-out single, 2nd hit of the inning for the Saints. Eric Maffey is 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer. Last time up, he walked and scored. First pitch to Maffey misses the inside corner. It's 1-0. Maffey hit a 2-run homer in game 1, a 3-run homer in game 2. Trying to get Maliska around from first base. Every time he's been up today, there have been runners on. He hits another deep fly ball out to right field, back to the track, and it's another home run for Eric Maffey, his third of the day. St. Francis reclaims the lead. 6 unanswered runs for the Fighting Saints. They trailed 7-3, and now it's a 9-7 advantage. Second home run this game, third of the day. He's got 7 RBIs now in the doubleheader. Give him 40 for the season. And then here's Brian Hidalgo with 2 outs and the bases empty. Bryson Taylor had 2 outs and the bases empty just a minute ago. So close to getting out of this inning, but he couldn't do it, and it cost him. Fly ball down the right field line, long run for Miller, and he can't get to it. A base hit for Hidalgo. He heads to second base. That's 3 straight 2-out hits, a double for Hidalgo. And the Saints are now playing for insurance. The way this game has gone specifically, you're not going to take anything for granted. Saints want to pour on as many as they can. They scored the first 3 in this game. IUSB scored the next 7. And now St. Francis is on a 6-0 run. Game 1 felt a lot more straightforward. But even in that one, the lead never felt safe. Saints led 4-1, and then IUSB chipped away. A run in the 5th, a run in the 7th. Put the tying run in scoring position in the last inning, but couldn't get them in. They ended up falling 4-3. IUSB entered play today 9-6 in conference action, a game and a half ahead of St. Francis. But the Fighting Saints are now 6 outs away from surpassing the Titans in the CCAC and improving to 9-7 on their own. Looks like that's all for Bryson Taylor. The call's been made to the bullpen. I'll step aside for a moment. 9-7, St. Francis leads in the bottom of the 7th. St. Francis has scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning to claim a 9-7 lead. And they're still going. Runner at second, 2 outs. Jake Lasota hitting against the new pitcher for Indiana South Bend. Jack Keensley's the new man in the game, his 8th appearance. He's 1-1 with an even 6 ERA. 9 innings, he's allowed 7 runs, 6 of them earned on 7 hits. 5 walks, 10 strikeouts for Keensley this year. His First pitch to Jake Lasota, misses high, ball one. Bryson Taylor went 2/3 of an inning, allowed 4 hits and 3 runs. 3 of the hits went for extra bases. Check swing on a ball downstairs, 2-0. Lasota is 2 for 4 with an RBI single. Looking for another one right here. He takes outside, 3-0. This game was moving along at a good clip through 5 innings. But it's been an hour since the 6th inning started. There's been a lot of offense these last 2 frames. A lot of pitching changes, too. Strike called, 3-1. This is the 4th pitcher that Indiana South Bend has used since the start of the 6th inning. St. Francis has used 3 of them since the start of the 6th. Sean Mahalik pitched the entire 7th for St. Francis. Looks like he may come out again for the 8th. I don't see anybody warming up right now. I don't know if anybody was throwing a few minutes ago. Soda takes ball 4 up and in. 7th free pass given to St. Francis hitters in this game. Here's Gio Pappas. Alex Milcars back in to run at first for St. Francis. First and second, 2 outs, 4 consecutive 2-out base runners for the Saints. Gio Pappas is 0 for 3 with an RBI walk. Keensley trying to get out of this 7th inning finally. Ball 1 outside. There were 2 outs, nobody on. The score was tied 7-7. He was 2-2 on Nate Maliska. It seemed like he was getting ready to get out of the inning. But Maliska singled to keep it alive. Maffey homered. Hidalgo doubled, then the pitching change, and now Keensley has come in, unable to throw strikes. 6 of his first 7 pitches have missed the zone. Up and in, 3-0. Keensley started Lasota 3-0. Got a borderline called strike 1, and now he started Pappas 3-0 after walking Lasota. So 7 of 8 pitches have been out of the zone. IUSB's bullpen is rolling again. They've already used 11 pitchers in today's doubleheader. There's a strike on Pappas, 3-1. I don't know if Doug Weiss is thinking about maybe bringing somebody back who he used earlier today. That's always a possibility. Or they've got a few more relievers who have not been used. 3-1. Ground ball left side and through to left field. A hit for Pappas. Hidalgo around third. The throw is cut off. It's 10-7. Second RBI of the ball game for Gio Pappas. He's got 10 on the season. That's 5 consecutive 2-out base runners for St. Francis. Hector Carrillo is the 9th batter of the inning. He's the 17th man to hit in the last 2 innings for St. Francis. He ended the last inning by grounding into a double play. He takes ball 1 up and in here. That's worth noting that for all the offense these last 2 innings for St. Francis, they've scored 7 runs in the last 2 frames. Carrillo grounded into a double play. Jake Vera, who was the first out this inning, was on a sacrifice bunt. Strike called over the outside corner, 1-1. So over the last 2 innings, 5 outs have been recorded. 7 runs have scored, and of those 5 outs, it was only 4 different batters who have been retired, and one of them was on purpose. Swing and a miss, 1-2. The Titans are one strike away from getting out of what has been a very tough 7th inning. The 1-2. Chased one downstairs for strike 3, and the inning is over. But the Fighting Saints score 4 runs, 3 of them with 2 outs. They leave 2. We'll head to the 8th. 10-7. St. Francis on top. (10-7) St. Francis over Indiana South Bend. We're into the 8th. And the Fighting Saints, who have trailed by as many as 4 runs in this game, are now just 6 outs away from a victory as Sean Mahalik starts off Brett Sikorsky with ball 1. Mahalik has pitched an inning and a third in this game so far, through 2 innings in game 1. Ball 2 on Sikorsky, who's 1 for 3 in this game. Liner to the right side, knocked down at second base by Alex Martinez, but he can't keep it in front of him, and it's a base hit for Brett Sikorsky. Leadoff batter aboard in the top of the 8th. It's been that kind of game. You have a big inning, you feel good about yourself. Don't feel that way for too long, because the hits just keep on coming. That's the 9th hit of the game for IUSB. St. Francis has 13 of them. There have been a boatload of walks on both sides. Ball 1 outside on Miller, so the base paths have been packed all game. St. Francis has scored 10 runs. They've stranded 12. There's a line shot out to left field, and that's down for a base hit. Sikorsky heads to third base and stops there. It's a double for Cole Miller, his 4th hit of the ball game. And here come the Titans. Just when you thought that the Saints had taken over for good, IUSB has put themselves in position to make a little run at them in the 8th. The tying run coming to the plate with nobody out. Jake Dykstra comes in as a pinch runner at second base. Hunter Bedell, the first baseman, is the batter. Mahalik stays in. There is a right-hander throwing in the pen for the Fighting Saints. They've used 4 pitchers so far in this game. Bedell flies it out to center field on the first pitch. That backs Eric Maffey up. He makes the catch. Plenty deep enough to score 1. Sikorsky crosses the plate. It's 10-8. Dykstra moves up to third base on the play. Sacrifice fly for Hunter Bedell. He's had a good game today, a couple of base hits, and now the RBI. Here's Josiah Nelson. Nelson is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run. He's also grounded into a double play. The Titans have hit into 3 double plays in today's game in the first 7 innings. Ball low on Nelson, 1-0. Saints have hit into 1, so we've seen 4 double plays in addition to all the runs scored and all of the runners left on base. Gives you an idea of how many base runners we've had. Hard grounder up the middle and off the glove of a diving Alex Martinez. Josiah Nelson has an RBI base hit. It's 10-9. Second hit of the day in the 2 games today for Nelson. That's his first RBI. He's got 4 now for the season. He's had a good day overall. 2 hits, a sacrifice bunt, a walk, a run. And now he's got an RBI to throw on the stat sheet as well. Saints still just 5 outs from a win, but now they're only up by 1 run, and another hard hit ball out to right field. A base hit for Donnie Neckes. Nelson rounds second, heads to third, and they're at the corners. Mahalik looked good in the 6th and 7th innings. He hasn't had it here in the 8th. They have been hitting the ball hard all over the field. 4 hits so far in the 8th inning. And they have been jumping on him early. First pitch for Neckes, second pitch for Nelson, second pitch for Miller. Third pitch for Sikorsky. That's when those hits have come this inning. That'll do it for Sean Mahalik. Mahalik had a long day today. 2 innings pitched in game 1 way back about 4 hours ago, and now an inning and 2/3 in game 2. And he walks off the mound with a chance still to pick up the win today. He would be the winning pitcher if this score holds, but a new man coming in to try to lock it down. I'll give you the numbers on the new guy in just a moment. Runners at the corners, 1 out. 10-9 ball game in the 8th. Kevin Cardis is the new pitcher for St. Francis. Game on the line in the top of the 8th inning. Saints lead at 10-9, but Indiana South Bend has runners at first and third with 1 out in the top of the order coming up. Kevin Cardis is on for the 8th time this year. He's 0-2 with an ERA of 25.41. In 5 2/3 innings, he's allowed 18 runs, 16 of them earned on 15 hits and 13 walks. He has struck out 2. Cardis faces Drew Barber with Nelson at third, Neckes at first. Barber bunts at the first pitch and misses for strike 1. IUSB took a risk on that first one. Runners caught off the bags a little bit. Lesota looked to both third and first. Didn't have a play on either one of them. Barber bunted right through it, so it's 0-1. Pickoff attempt to first, and Neckes dives back in safely. Cardis is the 5th pitcher of the game for the Fighting Saints. Ethan Fleming, seems like so long ago, pitched a strong 5 innings. Another bunt from Barber. It's foul, 0-2. He gave up just 1 run over his 5 innings pitched today. 4 hits, 4 strikeouts. Looked like he was on his way to his first collegiate win. But he left after 5 innings. The score was 3-1. In the 2.5 innings since then, the score is 8-7. Ball high, 1-2. This game has not been the poster child for good bullpen work. Both teams' relief corps have struggled mightily. One and two, and Barber's hit by the pitch. He was trying to give himself up to get that run in from third base. But on a 1-2 count, he pulled the bunt back, and he gets hit. So the bases are full. And Logan Smith will be the batter. Fleming went 5. He was good. Nold went a third of an inning. He was not so much. He gave up 3 runs in his third of an inning. Then Josh Kernbauer came out. He gave up 3 runs in a third of an inning. Sean Mahalik pitched an inning and 2/3. He has so far allowed 2 runs, but the runners at second and third belong to him as well. Kevin Cardis throws up high to Logan Smith, 1-0. And now you worry about the fact that Cardis in 5 2/3 innings this year has walked 14 batters. Walked 13 rather, and hit 2 more. Ball low and away, 2-0. So he averages more than 3 walks, or right around anyway, 3 walks per inning pitched. And with the bases loaded, there's nowhere to put him. You don't want him to groove one here, but he's got to find a way to throw strikes. That is a strike. It's hit out to center field shallow. Coming in from right and making the catch is Gio Pappas. And the runners hold their positions. A huge second out as Logan Smith pops to right center. And now it's all up to Caleb Farnham to tie the score or give his team the lead. That's an enormous out, but still a big one to come. Caleb Farnham is 0 for 3 today, but he has been hit by a pitch. And he's driven in a run on a fielder's choice. So 1 RBI, 1 run scored in the game. It looks like that'll be all for Kevin Cardis. So we'll see a 6th St. Francis pitcher. Cardis faced 2 batters. He retired one of them. Did not allow any of these runners to come in to score. We'll see if the new pitcher can do the same. He's got 1 out to get here in the 8th. I'll tell you about him in just a minute. Mac Malshevsky is the new pitcher in the top of the 8th with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Game on the line. 10-9 St. Francis leads. Malshevsky picked up the save in game 1. He retired all 3 batters he faced. He may be asked to face just 1 batter here, or he may be asked to get 4 outs and potentially pick up his second save of the day. First things first, he's got to get Farnham to keep this lead. First pitch to Caleb Farnham, misses outside, ball 1. Malshevsky is the 3rd St. Francis pitcher to have appeared as pitcher in 2 games today. Both of the other 2 were more successful in game 1. Farnham flies it into center field. Long run, Eric Maffey into the gap. He reaches out and he makes the catch. Maffey's got 3 home runs today, and now he's got a game-saving play in center field. Indiana South Bend leaves them loaded. They manage 2 runs in the 8th, but it's not enough to overcome the deficit with 1.5 innings still to play. It's St. Francis 10, Indiana South Bend 9. St. Francis has the lead as we enter the bottom of the 8th inning. If anybody in the ballpark feels comfortable with a 1-run lead, I'd like to meet him. Because it's an interesting person, the way this game has gone. I can't imagine that the Saints would feel good about not adding on here. Every time either team has scored in this game, there's been an answer. Saints led 3-0. Indiana South Bend scored the next 7 to make it a 7-3 lead. And then the Fighting Saints responded with 7 runs in a row. They led 10-7. IUSB scored 2 in the top of the 8th to get within 10-9, and that's where we are right now as John McGuire leads off, or Quinn McGuire rather, leads off the bottom of the 8th inning and takes ball 1. McGuire is pinch hitting for Dan Goosel here in the 8th. Goosel had a couple of hits in his 4 at-bats. McGuire fouls it off, 1-1. With the game on the line last inning, bases loaded, 1 out. Tying run at third base, the go-ahead run at second. St. Francis got out of it. Foul ball off to the right side and out of play. It's 1-2 on McGuire. Against Kevin Cardis, Logan Smith popped out to right field. And then Mac Malshevsky came out of the bullpen. And Caleb Farnham hit a rope out to left center field. Eric Maffey had a long way to go, but made an outstanding running catch in deep left center to preserve the lead. Quinn McGuire strikes out swinging, 1 down. Here's Jake Vera. Vera started the 3-run rally in the 6th inning with a walk. to lead off that frame. He was involved in the 4-run rally in the 7th as well. He dropped down a sacrifice bunt that led to a run scoring. He bats for the 5th time, 1-0 count. Vera does not have a hit today. He takes a strike. It's 1-1. 0 for 2 in game 1. Officially 0 for 2 here in game 2 as well, but again, he's had a big impact. In the 9th inning, it'll be the 4, 5, and 6 hitters due up for IUSB. Bell, Sikorsky, and Miller. Nobody warming up in the Saints bullpen, so it looks like Mac Malshevsky, who hadn't saved a ball game all year, will be put back out on the mound to try to pick up his 2nd save of the day. That ball is golfed into left field. Nelson comes in and puts it away. 2 outs. Nice work so far this inning from Jack Keensley. He's pitched a full inning now after getting the final out last inning. It's been tough to find IUSB pitchers who have been able to hang in there long enough to get 3 outs the last few innings. This is the 7th pitcher they've used in this game. They used 4 in game 1. Alex Martinez swings and misses, strike 1. 6th trip to the plate in this game for Martinez. He's only been retired once, and that was an RBI ground out last inning. He's been on base 4 times. Ball high, 1-1. So it's safe to say he has not had an unproductive at-bat in this game. Went 0 for 3 in the opener today. Martinez takes a strike over the inside corner, and the Saints are down to their final strike of the 8th inning. 1-2 count. In the dirt, 2-2. This has been the tale of 2 games. The first 5 innings we saw a grand total of 4 runs scored. In the last 3 innings, we've seen a combined total of 15 runs scored. Below the knees once again, 3-2 on Martinez, trying to keep the inning alive for Nate Maliska. Saints lead by 1, but IUSB has 12 hits in the game. They have kept the pressure on St. Francis all evening. Ball 4 inside. So the Saints are looking to add on, and they've got a base runner with 2 outs. Remember, they had the same situation last inning, 2 outs, nobody on. And they turned it into 3 more runs. So getting a 2-out base runner is nothing to sneeze at. Nate Maliska bats for the 6th time. Maliska is 2 for 4, a couple of singles, a walk, 2 runs scored. Maliska takes the first pitch outside. Eric Maffey's on deck. He's had the day of his life. He would love to get one more chance at the dish, but he needs Maliska to get on base first. Liner to the left side, gloved on one hop by the third baseman Logan Smith, and his throw to second beats Martinez to the bag. 5-4 on the fielder's choice to end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. On to the 9th. St. Francis 3 outs from victory. Their lead is 10-9. Well, we've made it to the 9th inning. This game has had twists and turns aplenty. Do we have one more in us, or can Mac Malshevsky finish this one off cleanly in the 9th? Looking for his second save of the day. He faces Brendan Bell to start off the inning. And he misses outside for ball 1. Bell is 0 for 3. He's been hit by a pitch and scored a run. Malshevsky came in with the bases loaded in the 8th inning, got 1 out, and got out of the jam. Fouled away by Bell, 1-1. It's Bell, Sikorsky, and Miller due to hit here in the 9th. Called strike 2. St. Francis took the opener 4-3 in a very different style of game here in the 2nd. They're trying to make it 2 straight one-run victories. 1-2 pitch. Up high, ball 2. Nine runs, 12 hits, 2 errors for IUSB. 10-13-0 for the Fighting Saints. Ground ball to the shortstop. Routine for Hidalgo. His throw to first is in the dirt, and it gets away from Maliska. So I guess we're going the twists and turns route. An error on Hidalgo gives South Bend a leadoff base runner. And the tying run is aboard with nobody out. First error of the game on the Fighting Saints. And it brings Brett Sikorsky to the plate. It'll also bring a new runner out of the dugout. Pinch runner over at first base. Kobe Campbell has re-entered the game. He was used as a pinch runner earlier for Drew Barber. And now he's used as a pinch runner for Brendan Bell. And this is what he's used for. Close games, put him on base, let him steal a few. He stole one earlier, his 15th stolen base of the season. Malshevsky tosses over to first. Campbell dives back in. Sikorsky's squaring to bunt, but I'd be surprised if he dropped one down on the first pitch. You'd think they'd give Campbell at least a pitch or two to try to take second on his own. He pulls the bat back and takes the ball. It's 1-0. Campbell is 15 of 16 stealing bags this year, including, again, one earlier today. Stole a bag in the 6-run 6th inning. The first time this game was turned on its head. Runner on the move on 1-0. The pitch is taken for a ball. Throw to second is in time, and Campbell is out. One away. Just the second time this year that he's been caught trying to steal. And the bases are empty. Well, that's why I said just bunt. Don't let him steal. I think I said that right. This is the second time today, actually, that Lesota has made a perfect throw down to second on Kobe Campbell. Back in the 6th inning when Campbell stole his 15th bag of the year, the throw actually had him beat. But it was mishandled at second base. They couldn't apply the tag. Sikorsky takes ball 3. 3-0. This time an absolute strike from Lesota. And no problem for the Saints to catch him on his second attempt of the day. Strike called, 3-1. Malshevsky just had the bases cleared. He doesn't want to walk Sikorsky now, but he's done just that. Ball 4 inside, and for the second time this inning, the tying run is on base. That'll bring up Cole Miller, who's already 4 for 4 today. Miller has singled twice. He's doubled twice. He's driven in 2 runs. He's scored 1. His spot in the batting order has scored another. Miller is technically re-entering the game right now. He was pinch run for with Jake Dykstra in the 8th inning. Dykstra stayed in to play right field last inning, and now Miller is re-entering to hit in this spot in the batting order again. He takes the first pitch, ball low, 1-0. 10-9, St. Francis. Malshevsky has pitched 2/3 of an inning so far, trying to finish it off, but he's gone wild here. 6 of his last 7 pitches have missed the zone. Leadoff batter this inning, Brendan Bell reached on an error, but his pinch runner, Kobe Campbell, was caught stealing. Brett Sikorsky walked. He's at first as Cole Miller takes a strike. It's 2-1. The Saints have not retired a hitter yet this inning. Malshevsky trying to change that. A high pop-up. Foul ground behind home plate. Lesota chases it back to the net and has just enough room to make the catch. 2 down. The Titans are down to their final out. I've talked several times today about how close some of these calls have been. It is a game of inches. And that one right there, frustration for IUSB. Just 1 foot further back, and that's a foul ball. Cole Miller's still in the batter's box. Instead, it's the second out. Hunter Bedell takes ball 1 outside. Last hope for IUSB. Hunter Bedell is 2 for 3 in the game. A couple of singles and a sac fly. 1-0 pitch. High fly on the infield. Playable on the right side. Alex Martinez is under it. He makes the catch, and that's the ball game. St. Francis victorious, 10-9. 2 one-run victories today for the Fighting Saints. They take the opener 4-3. And game 2, a 10-9 wild finish. A wild game. The finish was fairly straightforward. But the game itself was crazy today. And the Saints will very happily take it as they exit with the victory. 2 victories on the day. And they move ahead of Indiana South Bend in the conference standings as their record now jumps to 9-7. IUSB falls to 9-8 with the loss. I'll do a very quick recap of this one. Can't go over all of it. It would take me all night. But it started straightforward enough. Saints scored 3 runs in the 3rd inning on a 3-run homer for Eric Maffey. Maffey had hit a 2-run homer in game 1 of the doubleheader, so that was his 2nd home run of the day. And then behind some great pitching from Ethan Fleming, things looked good for the Saints. They led 3-0 into the 5th. That's when IUSB got on the board for the first time. They made it 3-1. That was the day for Fleming. He left after 5 innings, 1 run allowed, and he departed with a 3-1 lead. But IUSB jumped on the bullpen in the 6th. They scored 6 runs in the inning. The big hits were a 2-run single for Cole Miller and a 3-run triple for Donnie Neckes. And all of a sudden, they led 7-3, but that lead didn't last very long. In the bottom of the 6th, St. Francis came back once again. RBI singles for Hidalgo and Lesota contributed to a 3-run inning that brought them within 1 run. And then in the 7th, Eric Maffey hit a 2-run homer as part of a 4-run rally that gave them a 9-7 lead, or rather a 10-7 lead. Again, IUSB came back. They scored 2 runs in the 8th, getting a sac fly from Hunter Bedell and an RBI single from Josiah Nelson. They had the bases loaded with only 1 out, but Kevin Cardis got Logan Smith to pop out to right field, and then with the bases full and 2 outs, Caleb Farnham hit a fly ball to deep left center field. Eric Maffey made an incredible catch on a deep run into left center to put it away and snuff out that threat. That was the last serious chance for IUSB as they go down by 1 run. 10-9 our final score today. The winning pitcher is Sean Mahalik. The losing pitcher is Bryson Taylor for IUSB. Mac Malshevsky, who didn't have a save this year, picks up his 2nd save of the season. Both of them came today. St. Francis sweeps the doubleheader 4-3 and 10-9. That'll do it for today's Twin Bill broadcast. Thanks for tuning in to a wild one. A couple of 1-run wins for the Fighting Saints. They now stand at 14-23 and 9-7. IUSB is 13-21. Their conference mark is 9-8. Saints are back at home on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock start time against Trinity International, and we'll have that broadcast for you right here through the USF Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll talk to you next time. This is Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet, Illinois.